These bottles all have one thing in common. They all contain whiskey. But what even is whiskey? The word whiskey comes from the Scottish Gaelic word uskaba, or water of life. But that's enough history for now. If you want more, go read Robin Robinson's The Complete Whiskey Course. Link down below. Whiskey, or whiskey with an E, is generally considered a spirit distilled from a grain mash and then aged. Each country has their own set of rules and laws regarding what defines whiskey, and even this very basic definition is not true in all cases. But what does this definition mean? Let's break it down. First, let's start with a grain. While the most popular grains are corn, rye, wheat, and barley, whiskey can be made from any grain. There's been a recent trend in the craft distilling movement to try to use other grains as well, such as rice, oats, and sorghum. Additionally, each of those grains have a lot of different variants that you can get from throughout the world. Each of these different variants provide their own unique taste. Some are better for whiskey than others though. And it's important to reiterate that whiskey can only be made from grain. In most countries, once you add another product or ingredient to the mash bill, it is no longer whiskey. Once you decide which grains are going to go into your whiskey, you have to grind them, add water, and add yeast to start the fermentation process. This is called the mash. The yeast used plays a very important process in the fermentation to decide what flavors are going to be extracted from the mash. Many distilleries here in the US have their own proprietary yeast strain that they use in their whiskeys. Once the mash has fermented long enough, it's time to extract the alcohol that's developed in that mash. This process is called distillation. To distill the alcohol away from the rest of the product, you need to take your mash and put it into a still. There are several different kinds of stills and a variety of configurations you can put them into, but most stills go into one of two categories, either a pot still or a column still. These stills are used to boil the fermented mash and separate the alcohol from everything else, leaving you with a distilled spirit. Once you have your distilled spirit, it's now time to age it. Typically, most distilleries will take their distilled spirit and put it into some sort of wooden container, usually oak barrels. The spirit then sits in that wooden container and ages through the seasons until it is ready to be bottled. The process of aging imparts to the spirit different flavors, either the flavor of the wood or the flavor of whatever was contained in that barrel before. Well, the major players of whiskey are Scotland, Ireland, Canada, and America. Any country in the world can make whiskey. As an example, Japanese whiskey has taken off in popularity, and other countries are increasing the production of whiskey to meet the demand for international spirits. So that is the definition of whiskey. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and please leave a comment down below with your whiskey questions. If you want to learn more about whiskey, check out our Whiskey 101 playlist.